Alright everybody, have I got a gem for you. The Land Beneath Us is on the Nintendo Switch, and this is a game, for me at least, that flew under the radar, but it absolutely deserves your attention. Now I do want to point out two quick things with this video. Yes, it is sponsored. They asked me to tell you all about the experience. However, my second point, with or without a sponsorship, I would be singing this game's praises. Now, my name's Alex, this is SwitchCorner, and if you enjoy this video, subscribe, it helps out the channel a huge amount. The Land Beneath Us then is a turn-based roguelite action dungeon crawler. Quite the genre description, I know, but it also has a narrative, and that is, we exist in a world that's been destroyed by AI, and the creator has gone missing. They were attacked and kidnapped by an enemy force. They leave this kind of video message detailing what is occurring. So now you must get out there and save them alongside an android unit that is there to guide you. Now the narrative isn't, massively detailed, but what I appreciated was the fact as you do progress, you're going to meet new characters, and all of them have something of value to add to this world in the sense of, context. What is going to keep you coming back to this one, however, it's the addictive gameplay loop, a unique combination of combat, strategy, and dungeon crawling, and the setup is simple. You move from room to room, taking down enemies, picking up items as you do proceed. Each room is small, often packed with things to do, of course, and it all then operates on a grid-based system. So what happens is you move, then enemies move, and repeat until you're basically in an adjacent square to deliver an attack. Where it gets really unique, however, is going to be that weapon setup. So basically that is, we possess 4 different weapons and each is attached to a direction. So let's say left is a gun, right is a sword. If you move right, you're going to slash at the block next to you. If you move left, you'll fire a gun, and this can cover a much longer range. It's incredibly simple when you really think about it, but the amount of experimentation it leads to can't be underestimated. It's also incredible how much it changes up your navigation as you'll quickly uncover favourite weapons that you do want to leverage. These weapons are acquired when you clear a room, and that's kind of expected with a roguelite. You clear a location, you're going to get your choice of a reward from weapons to items, but these weapons, they can be stacked as well, meaning it's actually going to be levelling them up. All of these things, of course, they do reset then at the end of each run. The highlight so far for me, though, it has to be the boss encounters. Now, most of the early enemies, they attack a single square next to them, but these bosses can deliver some devastating moves that cover a whole range of different patterns. They're also not simply more of the same in the sense you don't just charge full steam ahead, and yes, of course, there is an element here of pattern recognition with them, but they often have objects and obstacles that surround them. So for example, the first boss requires you to take down what I presume is some sort of generator before your attacks do any sort of real damage. Being a roguelite then, of course, there's an element to the game here of starting again over and over and over. However, how this works is once you clear a location, you move on to the next one, consider it a different dungeon, and yes, you'll have to restart that one until you take down its attached boss, but this isn't Hades. It's not going to throw you all the way back to the very beginning each and every time. So basically, clear that first dungeon, you're basically done there, you can move now on to the next. Additionally then, there are ways to improve your character. There's a mysterious individual that rewards you with charms and items to level up your character, though his intentions at this point very unclear. You can work on things like your HP, increasing that meter, the special attacks that come with time, and the charms that I did mention that assist you. For me, I always play roguelites the same way, but for me that means basically there's a revive charm, it gives you that extra attempt, and I absolutely adore when these games in this genre do that. There's also then stores as well in here as you progress from room to room, not only cost currency, but they can actually drain health from you as well. It's a really interesting mechanic where it's kind of a risk versus reward scenario. So my praise for the game could honestly keep going, but I think if anything, all of these mechanics create an experience that makes you want to keep coming back. It's not just because the gameplay loop is addictive and quickly rewarding, but the adjustments you can make and the wide variety of weapons and add-ons, it led me to wanting to experiment essentially. And look, sure, the story, once you get going, not a lot to it directly, the creator is missing, go find them, but it still piqued my curiosity enough that I was interested to see what I would learn next about this world. Regarding the performance on the Nintendo Switch as well, I've had no problems. I played docked and handheld, and I think the small scale of battlefields and easy to understand grid system makes it a perfect match for the hardware. That meaning basically the controls are simple, they're translated well to console, and I've had no issue with the frame rate or anything else. Visually then, the land beneath us is also a little different in this sense. It's a 3D isometric, I guess, styled design, but the characters and locations, they are in a pixel style, which I really did like. Can't help but think our Lazer looks a little bit like a cosplay Batman, but I really do like their designs overall. And with a game like this, then I think it's key you can spot enemies and understand patterns, and they succeed in this arena. Not once did I make a mistake because I missed something on screen or didn't notice, one of the different enemies approaching. Basically, the designs stand out nicely, and the different menus and the UI in particular, nice and simple to understand. Now, things do get a little weird with the cutscenes, more in the concept. The creator talks via a sock puppet, but it does tie things together. And additionally, then on top of all of this, there's a lot of smaller visual effects, things, attacks that are incredibly satisfying just to watch them play out. The audio then, a nice little soundtrack. This one, each location has a different theme, and the soundtrack mimics these changes, and the sound effects are once again satisfying with clean, crisp effects such as, the slash of a blade. Honestly, there's not a huge amount going on with the sound field with this one, but I do think that makes sense. The music's kind of carrying the experience, and this is supposed to be a very sterile world devoid of inhabitants other than evil, so I think that minimalism in this sense does reflect, I guess, the setting. So yeah, that is The Land Beneath. It's a gem of a game that flew under the radar for me, and I've not honestly seen a huge amount of coverage out there, at least for this Switch build. The reviews that are out there, however, speak incredibly highly of the game, just like me, and I say that because, I appreciate sponsored content. You have your doubts, and I totally get that. I'd expect you to go watch some of them review videos next, and click the link down below to check the game out as well. That supports the devs directly. It also tells them that you enjoyed this content. I will, however, say I get no sort of kickback from it. Do know that, so it's not to, reward me in any way. Now, before I leave you, I do think the trailer for this one does a great job of kind of breaking down everything you can expect. So I'm going to be plugging that in here. It's only a minute long, and yeah, it sums things up perfectly. So give it a watch, subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you all in the next one. Thanks all.